We're going to begin with the candidates for magistrate in divisions 1, 3, and 4. So this is the first test of how well people get on well together. We're going to share the microphone. So I'm going to start over here, and if you'll spend time, you can take it out of the... So if you want to begin, and then pass it on, and then we'll get the other group.
Okay, my name is Mark Myers. I am from Montague County. I'm from Morgantown here. I was born and raised here. I graduated from Morgantown High and attended WVU here. I worked for Mon County Schools for over 26 years, and I retired at the end of the year, and I decided to run for magistrate. It was a very tough decision. Hershel Mullins is a very good magistrate. It was my understanding that he was retiring this year, and so I had made the decision to run for magistrate. And then it's my understanding that he's not retiring, and it's kind of tough to compete against someone that has a proven track record that he has. But again, my name's Mark Myers, and I'm running for Division I Magistrate.
Okay, I've been asked to, I'm sorry. Sure. I've been asked to look for upstairs.
Okay, no, not at all. All right, my name is Hershel Mullins, and I am a lifelong resident of Montague County. I've been a magistrate for 27 years, and I'm currently the chief magistrate of Montague County. And I appreciate the kind words that Mark had for me. But there's probably a few people in the community that wish I would have retired, but that's not the way it's going to be. I hope that in this upcoming election that I can count on the support of the other candidates and the community. I enjoy what I do. I like what I do, and as most of you know, we've moved into a new building. There's different things going on in that building that need to be addressed, and I'm glad to be there to help do that. The other thing is, I would like to try over the next 2 or 3 years, and it really won't affect me much, but we do need additional staff in our county. If I was going to be there for another 10 years, it might affect me, but that's not going to happen. But this county is a very busy county, and it actually does need more staff, not only magistrates, but it needs more deputy clerks. And if you, as citizens of the community, can talk to your legislators and help us do that, it would be greatly appreciated by everybody in magistrate court. Thank you.
Good evening. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Jeffrey Hott. I'm actually a registered nurse at Mon General Hospital. Been there for now about 27 years, I think, I'm Vic. And I've also been serving the county as the county medical examiner for the past 10 years. Everyone has been asking me why, being a nurse, did you want to become magistrate? This was not a knee-jerk reaction for me. I've literally been sitting thinking about this for about 2 years. I've enjoyed being out in the field with all my law enforcement agencies, the fire departments, EMS. I was a paramedic before I became a nurse. I enjoy being back out in the field and taking care of the community as a whole. So like I said, this was a 2-year process for me to actually sit down and think about it, and I was even asked by some of my friends, why don't you run? And a few things had to align, and they did, and so I'm now setting myself up. So I would like to ask for at least one of your votes out of the 4 that you have when it comes to May 10th, and hope to not see all of you on the other side of the bench in a new position. So thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Jim Nabors. I'm currently serving as one of your magistrates in Division 3. And first of all, I want to just thank the League of Women Voters for hosting this forum tonight. This is my 4th election, and I sort of look forward to this every election because, the people attending here actually care and are concerned about the candidates running and want to find out a little about them and their stands on various issues, and just to get to know them in general. So, like I said, I appreciate this opportunity here tonight. And I guess I can begin. I've been around here a long time. I don't like to admit it, but I was raised here in the county. I've been married for 38 years to Mary Ann Rohr Nabors. We have 2 adult children. Our daughter Kelly is a high school English teacher in Frederick, Maryland, and our son Josh is a police officer for the city of Morgantown. And we have a grandson, Caleb, who's very special to us. And I served as a Morgantown police officer for 30 years, rose up through the ranks, retired in the position of assistant chief. And for the past 10 years, I've served as a magistrate. And during that time, I don't like to admit it, but I was going to say hundreds, but now it's probably thousands of cases that I presided over during that time. And for my police career and for my career now as a magistrate, I've tried to earn the trust and respect I think I have of not only law enforcement, but the legal community, and most importantly, the citizens of the county. I feel strongly that one of the most important attributes of quality as a judge is wisdom. And we have judges here tonight, and we have judge candidates here tonight, and I think they would probably agree with that. You know, cases are not always black and white, and there's many factors and circumstances that a judge has to weigh and consider. And there's that old adage where the punishment must fit the crime. I know you've all heard that. Well, I think a more accurate and truer statement is the punishment must fit the defendant. There's so many things to consider with that, and taking into the seriousness of the crime, the status of the offender, whether he's a repeat offender, what his family situation is or her family situation is there children or they're working, what services can you make available to him besides incarceration. So I feel that, you know, you only gain that wisdom is through your work experience. And whether that be on the bench or your family experience and your experience you've had in another profession, but it takes time. And I think I've gained wisdom over the years. I hope so. Sometimes my wife might disagree with that, but I think I have. And I work every day to apply that knowledge in the courtroom. You know, magistrate court, and I was teasing or joking with some of the other judicial candidates here. I think we're the undercard this evening, and then the heavyweights are going to come out here in a little bit. But, you know, magistrate court is the only court that the citizens of this county and law enforcement have access to 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. And so that's why it's so demanding at times. And one of our biggest challenges, is Hershel and Sandy will tell you, is just trying to fit everything into a docket. Darius is sitting there and he'll tell you the same thing. Is just making time for everything that comes before the court. So I think I'm effective. I want to stay another 4 years, and hopefully you all will consider me for your vote on May 10th. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to come here tonight, because I know each and every one of us have lots of things to be doing at all times. And I especially do want to thank the League of Women Voters for having this forum. They do it every election year, and I do think it is very important to the community. I wish more people would take advantage of it, but it is very, very important. I am your current magistrate. I will be, this is actually going to be my third term if you choose to re-elect me, and I really hope you do. I'm excited. I'm very excited. We have a new facility that each and every one of you can be proud of. And as you know, I promised you 8 years ago that I was going to do all that I could to reach out to the young people of the community and try to be a good influence on them. And I created the Classrooms to Courtrooms. Now, in the past year, I've been pretty disappointed with it, but we had issues with moving and with the small space on Spruce Street. And that's why I'm so excited, because now we have the facility where I can bring a lot of our school-aged children to magistrate court and let them see government at work. Let them find out what we do in magistrate court. I can't begin to tell you how many voters I've talked to and said, well, you know, I don't even know what you do. Because unless you've been there, you really don't. We do everything. We are the first faces people see. We do the preliminary hearings on all the felonies. We do civil up to $5,000, which that is going to change here soon. We do wrongful occupations, which you know our town has many, many, many rentals, so we are overwhelmed with those cases. We do criminal cases. Anyone that can be sentenced up to 1 year in jail, we do it. We're called out at 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning, blizzard, thunderstorm, pretty weather, doesn't make any difference, to do what we call protection orders. We have what we call safety orders for people that we do. There's just a multitude of things that we are responsible to do for you, the citizens. And I am so proud that you've given me the opportunity to do these things. And I really hope that you will re-elect me and let me continue all the things that I am working on and I have done. I love reaching out to those that I can reach out to try to help. Like the magistrates have said before me, there are those that do need to go to jail. I am firm and I am fair. But there's also people that need to be put into our other programs, and we are blessed in Monongalia County with our day report and our community service works and our home confinement. We're blessed. We have really good programs here. And it's good to try to help people and get them into the right program, and hopefully they won't be a repeat offender, because that is always our goal. We don't need repeat offenders. We are way too busy in this county, and like Magistrate Mullins said, we are way understaffed. But we help each other, we step up to the plate, and we put the hours in, we do what it takes to get the job done. And I'm proud of that. And so I'm going to stop talking because I don't want to put you to sleep. So anyway, thank you very much for the last 8 years, and please give me another 4. I will continue to do everything that I have promised you I will do. Thank you. I'm Division 4, by the way. Thank you.
The first question I'd like you all to answer, and Hershel, we'll start with you, and then we'll go this way to try to mix this up a bit. What would you recommend to reduce incarcerations? The wording here, what would you recommend to reduce unnecessary incarcerations?
There's a lot of things that we're doing today to try to reduce the amount of people that are in jail. But as Sandy said, there are people who belong in jail. There is home confinement. We have people that go to day report center and are monitored by them, drug tested, making sure that they go to whatever educational classes that they go through, the RDVIC classes, that sort of thing on domestic violence cases. But I think one of the things that we could do, and one of the county commissioners is here, at least one, is that instead of sending so many people to the regional jail overnight, by putting them in a vehicle and driving them 80 miles to our regional jail. I'd like to see us put together some type of a holding center where those people can be held here overnight and then brought into the magistrate court the very next morning at 8 o'clock. Because what happens is those people are being put in a van in all kinds of weather. Doesn't matter what the weather's like, they're in a van and they're on their way to the regional jail. And some of them really don't need to be in a regional jail. A lot of them are kids that maybe had a little too much to drink the night before. And then they're students. They are from out of town. And whenever I do the arraignments, the video arraignments in the mornings, and you have those kids, they have to find a way back from the regional jail, which is 80 miles away. And most of them have no friends and no family in this town because they're out of town. But I think if we could put together some type of a holding center, which it would need some cooperation between the magistrates, the sheriff, and the county commission. I think what would happen is that it would save money. It would save incarcerations at the regional jail, which is a very busy place. And I think it would be better not only for the people that are arrested, for the court system, and for the police department. So that's one of the things that I'd like to see happen. Thank you.
One of the things that I would like to see is a holding center here in Morgantown to help with that. I do believe in a lot of the sentencing being placed on home, or placing people on home confinement. I think that some of the cost or all the costs should be placed on the criminal and not necessarily on the taxpayer. I do believe in home confinement. I do believe in more probation and the day report centers, and that these individuals also possibly even be considered for community service as part of their probation. But I think one of the issues we have in this town is the college. I think one of the things that we do need to do is get with the college, and these students, when they are brought in for intoxication and other crimes that they get in trouble with, I think that a report needs to go back to the college, and that the college be made aware of these students having these criminal charges being brought up against them, and hopefully the college itself will help police some of those issues that they have. Thank you.
I'm trying to wrap my head around this because I honestly don't see that it'd be an unnecessary incarceration. Obviously, they've done something wrong to get themselves in that position. But what I do see sometimes, and like they've already alluded to, is the fact on how we're going to manage them through the system and through the process. If anyone knows my work ethic over the years and stuff, after 27 years of nursing and 10 years as a med, I have no life, and I'm okay with that. I'm married to my profession. I'm available 24/7. I have no problem going out at 2 o'clock in the morning picking up a dead body, so I'd have no problem going out at 2 o'clock in the morning to arraign somebody. Get it done, get it over with, and move them ahead. However, too, I think also, and I've said this before, is I think, and they brought it up with, and Sandy's even brought it up with the classes to courtrooms, there needs to be a lot of education. These people walk in with a sense of entitlement, they'll throw their hands in the air, and it's just like, somebody else needs to fix this problem. You created the problem. I was always brought up under the belief that if you made the mistake, be man enough to stand up and apologize for it, and be ready to take, your comeuppance. I feel we need to, just like anything else, we have to clean up our own backyard before we can start throwing anything in the neighbor's backyard. So, yeah, the regional jail is fine. However, I have no problem seeing them having a holding area in the Mon County area. But again, too, I also see that I think we can do a lot of work and get a lot done. I mean, the hospital's open 24/7, law enforcement's open 24/7. Some of these guys work a 12-hour shift on night shift and then have to come out at 10 o'clock the next morning because they have to deal with their cases. and then come back out and work again midnight shift. When are they supposed to sleep? That bothers me. So I just think that, we've got many options to deal with. I think we need to start back at home cleaning up our own area first. Okay.
Now, I think we're talking about two different things here, and Hershel alluded to a holding facility, and that is primarily to deal with people waiting for bond or waiting for an arraignment and so forth. And then the other issue is actual incarcerations, a sentence that has been imposed on someone. And I like to think that all my incarcerations are necessary, because we've got prosecutors sitting here, we've got judges sitting here, and some attorneys are here, and I can tell you from my experiences, anybody that's sent to the regional jail or to DOC custody has earned it, because most of them have gotten break after break. We try, first of all, to all of our programs, the rehab, day report, as Hershel alluded to, the classes for domestic violence violators and things like that. AA meetings, NA meetings. All those avenues are pretty much exhausted by the time somebody's sent for incarceration. So I think the incarcerations, the ones I've done, I think pretty much are necessary. And I think most of the judges in here would feel that way. So, I agree with Hershel, what he said. We do need to address that holding facility because it's ridiculous. I'm on call right now, and I've got 4 arraignments waiting on me when I'm done here tonight. Well, I was already told by the sheriff's department they're not going to wait on me. They're going to take them an hour and a half away, 80-some miles to the regional jail, because they don't want to pay their guys overtime, which waiting on me, and I do send them later on, they would have to pay those guys overtime to transfer, but it's ridiculous. Probably, I don't know what the charges are, but the majority of those people are probably are entitled to bail tonight. But we're going to have to do a video arraignment, and they're going to probably sit in the regional jail for no reason. So that's something we could address. But as far as the incarcerations, it's my feeling that most of the people there that we finally do end up in jail, or they need to be there. Thank you.
I agree with Magistrate Nabors. We affect people's lives. And everything I do, I take very serious, and I give a lot of deep thought to it. I do what I do for a reason. Am I always right? No. Wouldn't even presume to always be right. But I do think I'm right more times than I'm wrong. And I always keep in mind of who I work for, and that is the citizens of Monongalia County. It's not my job to make the law. It's my job to enforce the law as written. But it's also my job to always be mindful of my people's safety. So if I put you in jail, that's exactly where you need to be. Like I said, I am firm, but I am fair. And if I can get you into another program that I think is going to be beneficial, terrific. I will do whatever it takes to help you so I don't ever see you again. And that's what I tell them. When I put somebody on home confinement or unsupervised probation, they have to jump through hoops for me. Usually community service, day report, drug testing. I put it to them, okay? Because they're going to be serious. But I tell them before they ever walk out of my door in that courtroom, look, if you blow this second chance, if you don't do what you're supposed to do, and you're brought back in here, and I find that you violated your home confinement or your unsupervised probation, I want you to know right now, you're going to jail. There's probably about 5 people over the last 8 years that I made exceptions for. And there really had to be a good reason. Because I do believe that I am fair and I give you every possible chance. And if you blow it, you're going to jail. I think that's my duty, and I think that's what you want. Sometimes it's hard, but I still do it. I think that means stop. Okay, thank you, bye.
The drug problem is an issue that is local, regional, statewide, and national. Is there anything you can think that you as magistrate or our communities can do to help with our states, with our drug problem in our area? Sandy, I'd like to start with you, and then we'll go this way.
I'm going to watch the red plate. We do. We have a serious drug problem, and it's not just in Monongalia County, it's statewide. Oh, wow. You know, if I had the answer to this, I could probably be very wealthy. 95% of everything that we probably have it come through magistrate court somehow, somewhere is related to drugs or alcohol. And that's another reason why I like my classrooms to courtrooms, because I target the kids that go to this school and any other middle school in Monongalia County. Because I try to get them in to see what happens if you make the wrong decision and try to get them before they make those decisions to do drugs or alcohol. And I've had a really good response from all the principals and teachers with the children that have come to magistrate court. But what can we do to help? I don't know. I really don't. We got to keep trying. We can't just give up and throw our hands up and say, we're done. We lost. We can't do that. So I keep trying. I keep trying to reach out to the young kids before it's too late for them. I think we do need desperately more inpatient facilities on long-term rehab. You know, this 20 days or 28 days or 7 days, it doesn't work. And we know it doesn't work. We just get them dried out, put them back out on the street. They go back with the same friends that they always hung out with that's doing the same thing, and here we go again. We need some serious rehab, but it's going to cost us money. And right now, I'm not sure we have it or the ability to get it. So what do? We keep trying to reach out to people, and we keep trying to help them to the very best ability we can. And I got the red plate. Goodbye.
Well, I think I want to go back to my statement where I said that the punishment must fit the defendant, and I think that's especially true in drug cases. You got to look at what the offense is. If it's a first-time offender for marijuana, well, he's entitled to probation, and he's entitled to a dismissal if he jumps through certain hoops that the court sets up for him: drug education, community service, stay out of trouble for a year. He's entitled to that. So you got to look at the offense and the offender. Now, if you've got, you know, and I have police officers come to me and I'm doing an arraignment, and they'll say, hey, Judge, this guy has a record 10 pages long. He's convicted for drug dealing in 4 or 5 different states. He has no ties to this area other than selling drugs. Well, then that's the type of person that you have to deal with, and most likely he's going to be put away for a certain period of time, because that's a hard person to rehabilitate. The other offenses where I do automatically, when I get somebody charged with a felony drug offense, first thing I do with them on bond is I send them to a day report center, our day report center, for needs risk assessment. And They let me know what services he needs, what they want him to do or her to do. And if they don't follow through with it, well, guess what? Then their bonds were revoked and they're going to be sitting in jail for a while. And it's not saying they're not going to get a second chance at it, but they'll set for maybe a week or 2 weeks, and we'll bring them back down and say, what aren't you getting about this? It's very easy. We want you to follow the rules. We want you to go to these classes. We want you to do community service. We want you to stay clean, and we're going to help you stay clean. So, you know, I don't know about the rehab. That was one of our questions asked by the Dominion Post editorial board, and they said, would more rehab facilities help in this county? They would if it's the right facility. And what I mean by that is I don't want some defendant, some person, maybe one of your family members being stuck taking Suboxone for 3 or 4 years, saying they're getting off of heroin. Well, to me, it's not working if that person's on it for 3 or 4 years. And I have defendants like that. So I think there's a lot of things we can do. I think our court, especially with the drug court, out of circuit court, and what we're doing with they report, we're trying to address it as effectively as we can right now.
Vicki, you're going to get played for this one. I need to be honest, this is a very impassioned area for me because I see it from both sides. I've held a 12-day-old dead, limp in my arms from a mother who decided she thought she needed her heroin more than she needed to feed her child. I get very angry. I'm the type of person, you can mess with me all you want, but don't mess with my kids. I kind of carry that passion through my job. I see it from both sides. I'm looking around the room and I see so many familiar faces. I have woken up every one of these magistrates at 1 and 2 o'clock in the morning on either a homicide that was drug related or an overdose that they need to do further investigations. They probably get sick and tired of seeing my name on some of the paperwork. You know, Perry, Gail, and the rest of them. I think it's kind of sad when the medical examiner is being called to help me sit on a state committee on how to deal with the heroin issue in Morgantown. I think that speaks volumes. We all know that this is one of the poorer states in the nation, but we need to do what we can with what we got. I think we need to get these people into the system. I think we need to be watchdogs on these people. And they may not like it, but you know something? I've been trained for 27 years to be a Chihuahua. I can nibble on anybody's ankles until the job gets done and gets done right. So to stand there and tell me that, you know, the system's falling apart, yes it is, but the other thing of it is too, in order for to prove that the system's falling apart, you got to get them into the system and get them into the system soon and as quickly as possible, and then stand there and watch them. It's just not to put them into the system, throw your hands up and say, hey, okay, it's now in their court, they've got to watch them. I put you in there, I'm going to follow you to the end. Don't make me have to bring you back in and tell me and give me a sob story about, oh, I missed my appointment. It's not going to work.
Drugs in our community are a serious, serious problem. And if you haven't seen the change, then just go downtown any day of the week. Drugs are a disease, they are an addiction, and there is no blanket fix. You're just not going to be able to take a textbook and fix this problem. I think that one of the things as a magistrate for me would be important to do is, and I know it's going to be a lot of work, but these defendants need to re-report. You know, stay their sentence for 60 days, 90 days, to see if they do get into an addiction program and re-report. For me personally, I had a younger cousin that I had grown up near who moved away, southern part of the state, got into the heroin, got into the drug addiction, was arrested, was looking at a serious amount of time because of the possession. As a family, we did get control of him. We did work, and financially, we put him in a rehab system ourselves because, as the magistrates can tell you, there's not a lot of rehab programs here locally. There's not a lot of funding for it. We put him into a program, and as a family, we knew what we could do with him in getting involved, in getting him placed on house arrest, and getting him into a system was a cure for him. Not all cases are going to be that. Sometimes you're going to have to sentence those people to Central Regional Jail. You're going to have to take them out of the community, out of their circle of friends, and get them away from the problem, and hopefully get them dried out so that they can get away from the issue. But anytime you deal with it, it's going to be cost. And as an example for us, either you pay it now or you pay it later. You know, these people, there's a lot of criminal activity, and this criminal activity comes from the drugs. Thank you.
Well, there was a lot of things said here this evening about the drug problem we have in town. And a lot of people talk about heroin, methamphetamine. But I can tell you this, the biggest problem we have in this community is alcohol. We have in the neighborhood of 800 DUI arrests in this county on a yearly basis. That's Magistrate Court, Morgantown City Court, Granville, Westover, Star City. Those courts are all running DUI cases. And I'm not here to make light of the heroin problem. It is a horrible, horrible problem. Because when you see a lot of these B&Es, it's because your neighbor is breaking into your house because they're addicted to heroin. They've already stolen everything from their family, so they got to go to the neighbor. And then it just moves along until they finally get caught. And to give you a little bit of an idea about what it's like, I had a young man just today who was put on unsupervised probation for a period of 2 years. Now that doesn't mean nobody's watching him. He violated, he got arrested, he went into the day report center, was drug tested weekly, and failed weekly. He ended up in jail. As he was in jail, he figured out, I need help. So he was lucky enough to get into a 90-day rehab program. All right? So I had him today. They brought him in because his attorney there was a motion made to revoke his probation and hold him in contempt for failing to do the things that he did. When they came in today, he had been to drug rehab. He had spent 90 days in drug rehab, and he had had 15 drug tests, all negative. That's the exception rather than the rule. But I can't figure out, when those people come in front of me, which one is going to be successful, which one is not going to be successful. You kind of have to give everybody a bite of the apple. But you can't give them the second and the third and the fourth bite. And I am definitely not smart enough to be able to look at somebody and say, they'll succeed, they won't, they'll succeed, they won't. You just have to give them an opportunity. And that's what we kind of do in the court system. Thank you.
Do we have any questions in the audience now that haven't been asked? Anybody want to ask a question? Come on up.
Can I just ask, how are the divisions set up? How do we vote for the divisions? Which ones are opposed and which ones are unopposed?
Each division you will vote for one candidate. Okay? So some of the folks up here are unopposed, and some of them are in the same division. If they're in the same division, you'll need to make a choice. So, well, although we will have to make choices here, I think what we need to do is show our appreciation for all these candidates for giving us some information.
Well, the evening's long, and you people have been very patient. I thank the League of Women Voters for the opportunity to have these kinds of forums for us to be acquainted with the offices and the candidates that are run for the offices. I'll try to be brief, but I'd like to divide what I have to say into two parts. Number one, I'd like for you to know who I am and my qualities, my qualifications. And secondly, I'd like to maybe spend more time acquainting you with what a conservation supervisor and what the agency as such does. So to start off, my name is Paul Nesselrode. I am a candidate, I should say, for re-election to a conservation supervisor in the Monongahela Conservation District as a representative of Monongahela County. I have been a conservation supervisor now for 20 years. I was first appointed to fill a vacancy, and I've run as a candidate in the past. And all during the time that I've been a supervisor, the procedure for electing or getting supervisors has changed legislatively. Now, as to what my qualifications are, I spent 33 years as a teacher and researcher in the College of Agriculture at West Virginia University. After I received 2 degrees from West Virginia University, and I am a PhD in agricultural economics with a specialty in farm management. My experience starts, I suppose, with my high school graduation and my experience as a member of a state FFA. I won the state FFA public speaking contest in 1940 with a speech that I wrote and delivered on conservation. I served as a state FFA president in the early 1940s before I became a student at West Virginia University. I am a professor emeritus from the College of Agriculture. In 2010, I was elected the Supervisor of the Year for the state of West Virginia. I am a member of the West Virginia Agricultural Hall of Fame. I think I have probably been in every county on some farm over the past 30, 40 years. I retired in 1989, and as I said, I was appointed to fill a vacancy, and I have successfully run in the past for the supervisor's position. Now, you might ask, well, what does a supervisor do? That depends upon the organization as such. The State Conservation Commission is authorized by the legislature. The state of West Virginia is divided into 14 districts. The districts, some of them, Kanawha County is a district by itself, as you might expect would happen. There are other districts that have like 5 or 6 counties in a district. In the case of the Monongahela Conservation District, there are 3 counties, Marion, Monongahela, and Preston. And we work with the farmers in those 3 counties. We help them, assist them, I should say, in a number of ways to carry out certain agricultural practices, the most popular one of which is the securing and applying of lime to the land to raise the pH content of the soil up so that there be better production of either such things as pasture or hay or grain or whatever it is they're growing. I guess the next most important project that we work with is for water. We help farmers develop spring and wells. Some wells are drilled for water, for pasture purposes primarily. We help them on certain kinds of pasture practices as such. We also own and rent out to the farmers a few specialized kinds of farm machineries, lime spreaders, a post hole driver, not the hole driver, but the post in the hole. We have a drill that farmers use. It's a rather specialized drill for seeding. We rent those, and I would say to you, they're not money-making things. We lose money on them, but we're assisting the farmers in the process. Now, we not only assist farmers, but we also assist in some other projects. We govern in this district, the Monongahela District governs 12 flood control dams, 7 in Marion County and 5 in Preston County. There's not a single flood control dam under our jurisdiction in Monongalia County, but Monongalia County is the big beneficiary of the 5 flood control dams that are located in Preston County. They're located on the headwaters of Deckers Creek. And most of the dams are in the area of Arthurdale, Reedsville, and Masontown. Now, those dams are inspected every year for safety purposes. And now there are problems associated with those dams. One of the most recent problems that we've had has been beavers. They build dams of their own down below our dam, and then that raises the water level in our dam beyond what it should be done at normal times. And we've spent in this year, I guess I should say the fiscal year, we've spent $5,000 to have beaver dams taken out. Groundhogs dig holes in those dams. One of the worst contenders that we have is four-wheelers that ride up and down the dams. Those things all are matters that we have to pay attention to and correct. We've also assisted the Friends of Deckers Creek in trying to do something about the acid drainage from the mine that was originally located, the little community slips my mind, up the hill there from... Richard. What? Richard, that's right. The Richard mine. That's an extensive project and a very expensive project. And at the present time, it's kind of on hold. Those are things that are under the control of the supervisors. Now, I forgot to say to you, there are two supervisors elected from each county. So every 2 years, there's a new supervisor elected. And you might wonder, well, how highly are we paid? Well, we're paid only when we work. And that makes me think of, when we talk about working, makes me think about I'm trying to think of his name. I guess I'd have to say to you, that's one of the problems that you discover when you begin to get Harry Heflin. Harry Heflin was a vice president of the university on a good many occasions and one time served as the president. And somebody asked him one time, how many people work for the university? Harry stopped and thought a minute, and he said, well, probably about half of them. Now, in our case, we don't get paid if we don't work. We meet once a month regularly. It's an open public meeting. We have the Monongahela Conservation District owns their own building located on Scott Avenue. The public can attend any one of the meetings. We meet the first Thursday of each month, and we may have some special meetings during the month depending upon some kinds of problems that arise between the regular meetings. Now that's a little bit about, I don't know that I said, I told you, I said I had 2 degrees from West Virginia University. I have a PhD from Penn State University. I believe I'm a qualified person for the job, having spent 33 years teaching, and in the last 25 years I've spent as a supervisor. And it's been a pleasure to serve as a supervisor because it's enabled me to keep in touch with agriculture on farms. And I want to balance, you can vote for me, I'd appreciate that.
Well, that ends our formal presentations.